Hi guys, welcome to episode 50 something of live security dog handler Q&A. Hope you're all good. We are on a Wednesday, which is a bit different to the normal. I'll explain why in a minute. But yeah, we are on a Wednesday. Just put that down a little bit. But yeah, hope you're good. If you're in the live, say hello so I know who's in. Just do this quickly. Yeah, if you're in the live, say hello so I know who's in. If you've got any questions or anything that you want me to talk about in terms of topics, then put it down in the chat box as well, and then we can see what we can get through. But I hope you are all good. Like I say, it's a Wednesday this week instead of a Thursday. I've got a dentist appointment tomorrow. I've got a cracked tooth, so a bit of my tooth has snapped off, and I've got to go dentist tomorrow morning. And I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't know how my mouth is going to feel tomorrow. So I thought I'd do the live tonight instead of tomorrow night, in case my mouth is hurting tomorrow and I don't want to do any talking and things like that. Dermot Leeson is in. Hi Dermot, I hope you're good. So yeah, that's the reason that we're doing it on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday, because I don't know if they end up ripping this tooth out tomorrow, I might not want to do a 45-minute live with my jaw half hanging off. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it tonight instead of tomorrow night. Other things I've had the worst luck, not only with my tooth. On the way to work today, what I can only presume was a boulder, the way and the sound that it made, flicked up off of the M25 on me today and has cracked my windscreen, or chipped my windscreen. It's quite a big, left quite a big mark. So not only that, I've now had to organise to get the windscreen repaired. They're coming on Monday. I can probably, from tomorrow onwards, or from today onwards, I can pretty much write off my sleeping pattern, because I'm obviously working nights tomorrow. So I got up at 2 p.m. this afternoon. I've got a 9:30 dentist appointment tomorrow, so I might get an hour's sleep when I get home in the morning before I have to go to the dentist. But likelihood is that I've got up at 2 p.m. today. I'm probably going to have to be awake until about 10:30, 11 o'clock tomorrow. So that's Thursday. Friday I've got some bits that I need to do, so although I can have a bit of a sleep, I've got stuff that I need to do. So that's I'm obviously losing loads of sleep there. Saturday I've got to take the fiance to the airport at 4 a.m. Sunday then I'm back into work. Monday I've got the windscreen people coming, so God knows what time they're going to come. And then Tuesday I've got to pick the fiance back up from the airport on Tuesday afternoon. So between now and probably next Friday, not this Friday, the Friday after, my sleeping pattern is going to be all over the place. The only good thing possibly is if football gets cancelled on Saturday and I just spend all days indoors sleeping and chilling out before going back to work on Sunday. But yeah, between now and probably next Friday, it's going to be, my sleeping pattern is going to be non-existent. But that is another thing, that is another part of this job, is that if you have stuff that you need to get done, you're going to have to sacrifice sleep. Obviously working nights and having things like dentists, windscreen people, airport runs and things like that, always going to affect what you do. And you either do it or you don't. But obviously the dentist I need to do because of my tooth. The windscreen I need to get fixed because I don't want it to end up cracking and then costing me X amount. I think I've got windscreen cover. I think it's going to cost me a tenner in excess to get it repaired. But I think if the windscreen needs replacing, it's going to cost me probably something around 70 quid. So it's going to save 60 quid. It's going to be worth getting the crack done before the chip done before it turns into a proper crack, etc. But yeah, I'd say another part of this job is that if you need to get stuff done, it does end up costing you sleep, etc. But yeah, so that's just kind of a couple of things that has been going on with me. God. But I hope you're all good. Other than that, me and the dogs are all good. Coop's, I've only got Cooper on board. I brought Ollie. Ollie was here Sunday night. But yeah, I've only got Cooper on board. Next week I'll have Ollie for probably 3 nights, due to the missus being away, etc. So I'll have Ollie on board as well for a few nights next week. It's starting to get a little. It's starting to be light a little later. I've been noticing, not so much when I turn up to work for 6 o'clock, but definitely when I'm packing the van at sort of 5 o'clock, etc. It's still a little bit light. So hopefully we're not that far removed from me being able to do a little bit of filming on site of some training, etc. The issue that I have is obviously if it's only light for say half an hour, that puts a lot of pressure on the first half an hour to get some filming in. But hopefully soon it will be light enough for long enough that I can do a little bit of training on site. Just bought a trained protection dog for $5,500. Do you think this is a reasonable price? It all depends on its training. They're probably the lineage, so the pedigree of it in terms of the lineage that it's got. It all depends on its training. I know that protection dogs worldwide, some of their dogs are 20 grand, some of their top high dogs are like 80 grand. So it all depends on what they've been trained to. I'd say in terms of security, a lot of the trained dogs that you'll pick up, like fully trained dogs, probably around maybe the 3 to 5 grand mark. But yeah, I think it all depends on the bloodline of the dog. It all depends on what its training is. So yeah, $5,500 is decent if you've got the money to do that. I don't have $5,500 to spend on that, so that's not something that I would go down the line of doing. But if I had 20 grand in my back pocket that I could spend on a protection dog, and I got a good one for $5,500, then yeah, that would be a fair price. But like I say, I think if you go on, I think there's a YouTube channel that's gone to protection dogs worldwide, or you can look into it. Like some of their ones that they sell to say like footballers and things like that, it'd be like 20 grand. If they sell and they sell them abroad to America or whatever it is, I think they can charge up to about 80 grand for a dog. But obviously that is a dog that is at the top of its game, is trained to a really high level. So yeah, I mean, it all depends on what the training is. It all depends on what is a reasonable price for you. So like I say, I don't have $5,500. I don't have $5,500 sitting in an account for a protection dog. So for me personally, that's not a reasonable price because I can't afford to do it. But if I had 20 grand in the bank and I got a dog that had good training into it and it was $5,500, to me it would be reasonable. Protection Dogs UK charge minimum of 35 grand. Yeah. So like I say, it all depends on what his training is. Probably it's bloodline as well. But yeah, like I say, if you can afford it, then it's a reasonable price. If you can't afford it, then it's not a reasonable price. So it's quite a hard one to say. The proof would be the proof to whether it's worth that will be in training, whether again, in a real life situation, if the dog does the job that you need it to, then it's worth $5,500. There's no point in you spending $2,500 on a dog, and in a real life situation, the dog doesn't do the job that you need it to do. So, like I say, it all depends on whether it's a reasonable price for you. It's all dependent on its training, and it more depends on, in a real life situation, does the dog do what you need it to do? If it does, then it's worth the money. If it doesn't do the job, then it's not worth the money. man, I got my confirmation through earlier this week that my NASDU team certificate has arrived with my trainer. I don't know why they do this. So in terms of NASDU, you go to a trainer in order to do your CT, to get your team certificate, etc. And then they obviously apply to say, right, I've seen this dog, I've seen this handler, they've passed their team certificate, etc. And then for some reason, NASDU only send the certificates to the trainer, and then you either have to go to the trainer to get your certificate or arrange for them to post it. I don't know why they can't arrange for it to be sent straight to you. When will you be looking to replace Cooper or retire Cooper? Now, this is a conversation I've had for a long time with the missus. I've always sort of planned it, and look, you can always make a plan to, right, this is what I want to do, this is when I'm going to get this dog, etc. But life always gets in the way. So Cooper is 5 in March, so I would say that Cooper has probably got at least 2, possibly 3, might be able to push it to 4 years left. Ideally, I want to get ideally I'd want to get a puppy and probably put 18 months of training into the dog, in terms of the dog being sort of 18 months before it is the main dog. So I've said to my missus before, look, I want to maybe look at getting a puppy when Cooper's around about 6, so that by the time Cooper's 7.5 and we can give Cooper a bit of a back seat, I'll have an 18-month-old, maybe if we push it a bit later, maybe a 2-year-old that is the main dog. And that doesn't mean that Cooper can't come to work or doesn't come to work, etc. I think, again, it all depends on sort of family life as well. Like, if we're going to have kids in the next couple of years, etc., am I going to leave my missus at home with a baby, a Cocker Spaniel and Cooper? Probably not, which is why I've always had the double cage, because then I've always got the ability to be able to take 2 dogs to work. And there is space in here if I wanted to get Ollie a little third crate, probably like a trans canine one, just get like a little Cocker Spaniel size one. I could have 3 crates in here, absolutely no problem. Therefore, I could take the dogs to work all the time. Now, look at it from Cooper's perspective as well, is that Cooper has always been coming to work with me. And if after, so what was Cooper? He was about 2 to 2.5, was he? Maybe coming up 2. Can't remember. Coming up about 2 when he passed. And let's say for 5 or 6 years, every time I've left the house to go to work, Cooper's come with me. If all of a sudden I get this new dog and the other one's 18-month-old and we've got a team certificate, if all of a sudden I just start taking that dog to work and leaving Cooper at home, Cooper's going to be like, hold on, what's going on here? Like, I'm part of this and yet I seem to be staying at home. So it will be a case that I'll probably still take Cooper to work, unless we have some security fears at home where I say, right, I'm going to leave Cooper at home with you just as a bit of added protection, or maybe I'll interchange the dogs where I'll take the 18-month-old one night, take Cooper the next night. But my plan would always be, look, I'll take Coop to work as much as possible. Yes, I'll get him out and I'll play a bit of ball or we'll do a bit of training, etc. But if something happens, then the 2-year-old comes out because he is now the main dog. So I think possibly leave it for maybe a year and a half. I don't know. It's always a tricky time because, like I say, I've obviously got Ollie the Cocker. Me and the missus getting married this year, then we've got family plans after that. So probably the next 18 months is where sort of family plans are sort of going in as well. So I think it's going to be hard to juggle that type of stuff. Also it's one of them things, like if we look to have kids in sort of 18 months time, do I really want to bring a German Shepherd puppy into a newborn baby and 2 other dogs as well? Like, it'd be a bit chaotic. What I do need to do is I live in a flat at the moment, which is fine for Cooper and Ollie. Obviously, Ollie's a small dog. I will need to move out the flat into a house where I have a bit more room to be able to have 2 German Shepherds and a Cocker Spaniel as well. Maybe with a garage that I can convert into sort of not kennels, but maybe somewhere where the dogs can stay, so that if we have people round, I can put the dogs all in there and they can kind of chill out, etc. So there's more planning to it than just right on the 13th of April I want to have my next dog. There's more planning to it. You've got to plan around family, you've got to plan around your sort of plans as well. But yeah, Cooper, my plan would always be to take Cooper to work for as long as possible, for as long as he wants to do it. Look, if I get all my kit on and I've got the younger dog, if I get all my kit on and Coop looks at me and he's like, no, I don't fancy it tonight, I'll say, all right, well, you can stay there and I'll just take the other one. But as long as I put all my kit on and I grab a lead and he comes to me to go outside, then Cooper will be coming to work. My dog died suddenly, so I needed a dog quick so I could carry on working. Gone in debt for the dog, but had to. Yeah, that's one of the problems with this job, etc. Is that obviously you need the dog in order to do this work. So if something happens suddenly, you need to make a plan of right, I need to replace that. Now, with most liability insurances, like this is one of my biggest gripes about the industry, and people will say it's wages, people will say it's training, whatever. This is my biggest gripe regarding the industry, is that dogs, so for argument's sake, Cooper, now you can look at, I've done a video on this, I think it's like security dog or protection dog insurance, whatever it is, and I rung loads of pet insurance companies. I said, right, I've got a German Shepherd, he's in security, I just want to get him insured so that if he hurts himself or he cuts his pad or an accident happens, I want to get him insured so that I can get his vet bills paid for, etc. And they just turned around to me and said, we do not insure security dogs. So I said, okay. I said, well, can I get insurance for when my dog is a pet at home, when he's not working? And they said, no, we will not insure your dog for illnesses and injuries outside work either. So no pet insurance company will insure Cooper for any illnesses or any injuries. So I was like, okay, well, we'll try liability insurances. So I called a couple of the more popular liability insurance companies, and I said, right, in terms of liability insurance, if my dog is injured or my dog gets an illness, will I be able to claim for his vet bills? And they said, no, we do not cover any vet bills for injury or illness. If the dog is injured to the point where they can no longer work, then we will pay you a lump sum. And I think it was something around $2,500. So I was like, okay, so the way in which I look at that is, touch wood, it never happens. If I had liability insurance for Cooper and Cooper got injured and he could no longer work, but I've now got, because I can't get pet insurance and I can't get insurance to cover him for injury or illness, if Cooper now has a $4,000 vet bill because someone's injured my dog at work and he can no longer work, I've now got a $4,000 vet bill for Cooper. The liability insurance say, don't panic, we're going to give you $2,500. Okay, so now I've got a $2,500 payout for the liability insurance company. Do I spend $2,500 to make sure Cooper gets the treatment he needs for his $4,000 vet bill? Or, because I need to carry on working, do I spend that $2,500 buying another dog so that I can then go to work the next week? Like, somewhere in there it doesn't work, and this is one of my biggest gripes, is that you're putting handlers in situations where they can't afford to have their dog treated because it's got injured whilst working, because no one will insure them, so no one can get any payout for it. The payout that they possibly can get is basically to replace the dog. So you obviously need to replace the dog in order to continue working, but you also want to look after the dog that's tried to protect you, that's got injured. So something in there doesn't work. And like I say, some people are going into debt, obviously, like yourself, is like they're putting themselves in debt to carry on working, and hopefully then you can pay it off over X amount of months and things like that. But I feel that there is problems in there somewhere where handlers are getting a bit mistreated by insurance companies, liability insurance companies, about things that happen to their dog. But look, I hope it works out for you. I hope that obviously you can get that cleared. Obviously, getting back into work is the main thing, because if you're not working, you're not earning money. So the more you don't work, the more debt you're possibly going to go in, because you still got mortgage, you still got bills that you've got to pay, etc. So I think in the long term, over the next 8-10 years, it will be a good investment, because if you spent another 6 months out of work, you'll be further into debt. So I think over the next sort of 8-10 years, I think it'll be a decent investment in terms of it's got you back into work, etc. And hopefully it all works out for you. But yeah, I appreciate that. It's obviously, I appreciate that when these things happen, that something has to happen quickly. And look, sometimes that does cost money. Will you stick with a German Shepherd? Almost definitely. I think almost definitely. I've always said I wouldn't get a Doberman or I wouldn't get a Doberman or a Rottweiler. Malinois, I think I'm 10 years from probably having a Malinois. I enjoy having a German Shepherd. German Shepherds to me are the better all-round dog. Malinois, a little bit crazy. You never know what's down the road. But yeah, I wouldn't get a Rottweiler or a Doberman. Malinois would be my second choice, but German Shepherd is my main choice. Sorry to hear your dog passed away, as it always hurts. I think that is one of the problems with the industry, etc. is the replacement of dogs. And when like I was saying earlier, like in terms of coop, like I can always make a plan of like, right, this is when I want to get a puppy, and this is what I want to do, etc. But you can never plan for everything. Like I could get a puppy, and within 2 months something could happen to Cooper, and then all of a sudden I've got a 4-month-old puppy, and I've got no older German Shepherd to work. So then I'm in a situation of, right, okay, I've just bought this puppy, I've just put a few months of training into it, it can't do a NASDO for another 8 months, but I need to go to work next week. So then do I have to pay out and get another dog? So it's not always easy. Like I say, you can never plan for everything, because the moment you start planning for something else happens. So look, you can have all the plans you want in the world, but it doesn't always go that way, unfortunately. Oh. Right back there, mate. Yeah. Oh. But yeah, if anyone's got any other questions, make sure you put them down in the chat box, etc. It really helps me out, because otherwise I start rambling on about absolute nonsense that no one cares about. We are coming up to April as well, where the minimum wage will be going up by more or less £1, I think. So hopefully dog handlers should start seeing the benefit of that a little bit, because I think that every time the minimum wage goes up, the dog handler's wage should reflect that as well. So hopefully, like I've said in where our wages rank, I think was my video. Like I always said that we should, as the minimum wage goes up, we should see the benefit of that. And I think that you should start seeing dog handlers on nearer to 12.50 to 14 quid an hour. That's where you should start seeing dog handlers now, with the minimum wage going up to like 11.40 something. So you should start seeing dog handlers on probably 12.50 to 14 quid an hour. I've done videos on wages and things like that, and although the hourly rate never sounds like it's that appealing, I worked out that in that wages rank video, I worked out that as of April, if you're earning minimum wage, I think I rounded it up to 11.50, but if you work minimum wage as a dog handler, working 5 nights a week throughout the year, I think you're on about 37 grand a year. So that to me is not minimum wage. I think when I think of someone that's on minimum wage, I'm thinking of someone that's on somewhere between 20 and 25 grand. I would say that is minimum wage. And probably if you are working in retail or you are working in supermarkets where you're only working 8 hours a day, then possibly that's probably what your income is going to be. But if you get into security dog handling, you're going to be looking at minimum probably 12-hour shifts. Maybe there's a few jobs that are less hours than that, but typically you're probably looking at somewhere between 12 and 16-hour shifts. If you do 4 or 5 nights a week, so do 5 12-hour shifts or 4 15-hour shifts, working 60-hour weeks, you'll be earning something around 37 grand as a minimum wage. Like I say, dog handlers should start looking and seeing that to be in 12.50 to probably 14, where you'll start being up near like the 40 grand mark. So I think any job that you do that you enjoy doing, if you're earning 40 grand, to me, you can't complain too much. Obviously, different sites and different jobs have different threat levels, they have different activity, and look, if you're working on a site and you're constantly dealing with stuff, then obviously the money feels like you've earned it a lot harder than maybe some other ways. But yeah, we're only month and a half from that now, so hopefully dog handlers will start seeing the benefit of that. And I think we worked out the other day, like someone I know is on something around 14.50 to 15 pound an hour doing what they do. Like, they're salary based, so it's a little bit different to us, but they are salary based. And they was on about 14.50, 15 pound an hour, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm on less than that. Now last year I earned 8 grand more than them in terms of like an annual salary. So looking at the hourly rate is not always reflective on what your annual income is. So if you turn around to me and said, look, you can go and earn 14.50 an hour doing this job and you can earn X amount, or you can do what you do for a few pound less, and you're going to earn another 8 grand, which one would you rather do? Well, I would look at that and say, well, I would pick this job because of working with a dog anyway, but I would look at it and say, well, I'd rather earn another 8 grand. Having all that free time is great, but having a job where I earn another 8 grand, so when I do have free time, we can do stuff, I think is a little bit different. So I think that's one of the things that's always annoyed me again about the industry, is that people concentrate so much on the hourly rate. And yeah, I think in terms of dog handling, if you concentrate on the hourly rate, I think that you will think that it's not well paid. But when you look at an annual income, because of the hours that we do and the job that we do, when you look at the annual income, it actually works out pretty well. It's above the national average, even working sort of a minimum wage. I can really see private security really take off in the near future due to the lack of police presence and numbers corporate companies will look to the private sector. I mean, from what I kind of understand and what I know, especially if I go from what I know, so in terms of like the southeast, there's lots of work. Like, I don't know a dog handler in the Kent area that is struggling to find work. Now, there are other areas within the UK that haven't got loads of dog work or haven't got loads of security work. Some handlers I know don't want to travel too far. They will travel X distance if they're promised X amount of hours, but a lot of them for a 12-hour shift don't want to drive an hour and a half to a site. But from what I know, especially in the sort of the Kent southeast area, there's not a dog handler that's struggling for work around here. So I think already that the private security sector is really healthy from what I understand and what I've seen. It will only get more. What did you say? It will only get more work. I can't remember what the word is, but only more work will come for the private security sector, because insurance companies, whilst there's a rate of crime or a higher rate of crime, etc., insurance companies will start saying, look, you need to get this man's 24 hours. In terms of dog work, you can put a man and a dog on a site where you might need to have 2 static guards, so cutting down on costs by putting a dog handler on there. A dog handler is more efficient than 2 static guards, so you might see that more dog handlers get more work because they're more beneficial. You don't have to give them as much oh my god, my head's gone. You don't have to give them as much facilities. Like, I think in terms of dog handlers, like, you don't have to offer them a toilet, you don't have to offer them running water, you don't have to offer them heating, etc. That's why you're meant to be self-contained. So in terms of, I have everything in this van that I need. We do have a portaloo here, which is helpful, because otherwise then I am a little bit knackered. But you, as a dog handler, you're meant to be self-contained, so you're meant to have your own heat, you're meant to have your own facilities in terms of water, food, different things like that. When it comes to static guards, they have to offer them a toilet, they have to offer them some welfare unit. that's what I was looking for, welfare. In terms of static guards, you have to offer them welfare unit, toilet, running water, things like that. In terms of security dog handlers, you don't. So again, being a security dog handler, you open up your opportunities to work as well, because there will be sites where there's no electrics, no toilet, none of this, and they have to send someone, and that someone ends up being you, etc. So being a security dog handler as well, it does open up your opportunities where, like I say, a static guard wouldn't be able to work the site I'm working on because it's got no running water. Although it has a toilet, it's got no running water, it has no heating, etc. So companies are more inclined to want to put a security dog handler on there rather than putting a welfare unit on, because I think like a welfare unit, it might be costing them what, £500 a week to have a welfare unit on there. They're more inclined to put us on there and not have to pay the welfare unit, and they're more likely to pay a little bit of a higher price in order to have a security dog handler on there, because they are saving them the £500 a week for the welfare unit that they would be paying for the statics as well. So I think, yes, I think that the private security industry is healthy. It's not something that's ever going to go away. I think that's something I've always looked at in terms of a job, etc. Like, I've always looked at, right, what job is always going to be around, and security is always going to be around. Now, obviously dog work might be few and far between. That's why you've got an SA license. I could go and work as a mobile driver if I needed to. I could go and work and do other jobs. If I had a door supervisor license, I could go and work on the doors. I don't, so I won't. But with my SA license, I could do other jobs that that doesn't involve the dog. So I think security is always going to be around. The job I was in before with my dad's company was security systems, burglar alarms, fire alarms, CCTV. Them jobs are always going to be around, because insurance companies are always going to say you need to have a burglar alarm, you need to have a fire alarm, you need to have CCTV. Them jobs are always going to be around. So getting into this industry as well is it's not something that's ever going to go away, because insurance companies are never going to drop having security in order for a bit of added protection. So therefore our clients are always going to need us to a certain degree. Oh, sorry, just a sec. So you're on $12.50 an hour, and you do 5 12-hour shifts a week. Where's that phone gone? So again, so if you're looking at $12.50 an hour, I mean, I don't want to tell everyone what your annual is, but in terms of like a typical $12.50 an hour, 5 nights a week, you're probably looking at near 40 grand. So again, depending on what job you're doing, etc., it's, although the hourly rate doesn't look great on paper, like if you went to a bank and they said, well, what are you on, and you say $12.50 an hour, the bank would get a look at that and say, no, that's too low, that's too low a wage. But when you walk in and you say, yeah, but I'm on 42 grand a year, etc., that's much better looking. But yeah, like I said, with you, and obviously what you've gone through with the dog, etc., it just makes more sense. It makes more business sense. I mean, I don't know if you're PAYE or self-employed handler, but it makes much more business sense to not miss work and getting straight back in with a dog than it does to spend 4 months training a semi-green dog up to then be at the same position you are. So if I was you, I wouldn't look back on the money that you spent on the dog and wonder whether it was a good investment or not. Just say, look, I've done it now, it's a good investment, I am working, I'm back in and I'm working on earning money. That's the best way that you can be. Not getting back. I think a lot of people that I've seen, you can tell when they're going to leave the security dog industry, or you can kind of tell when they're thinking about leaving, is that they're normally working a dog that's maybe 8 or 9 years old, and they've got no second dog. And that to me is the biggest key of someone that is going to be leaving the industry, retiring, whatever it is, because you never want that gap. Because once you come out of security dog handling and you start working days, or you might start doing something else, sometimes you don't automatically come straight back in. So I think getting back in, spending whatever you have to spend, getting back in and continuing what you're doing, if you love the job enough, or you like doing the job enough, that's the best way to be, because you don't want to have a period off where you start mourning the loss of the dog. I mean, that's going to happen anyway, but you don't want to have a gap where you stop mourning the loss of the dog, and before you know it, you're 3-4 months in to not having another dog, you're out doing something else, and maybe you don't come back to it for a fair few years and you start doing something else. So if you enjoy doing the job enough, then getting straight back into it is sometimes the best way to be. I don't know what's happened to my throat here, but it's gone right down the Swanee. Thanks for the chat, mate. Always look forward to it. Good luck at the dentist tomorrow. Yeah, I absolutely hate the dentist. I haven't been for so long, and the last time I went to a dentist, without telling me, they stuck a needle right in my gum, and I've got a thing about needles, I've got a thing about dentists, and after that to me that was like, right, that's the end of that. But yeah, so this is going to be my first dental appointment. Like, I've had it, the back end of last week, it was so painful. I was sitting here at work for like 12 hours, I was necking painkillers, I was doing all sorts to try and get through it, etc. So it's something that's had to be done. If I could have lived with it, then I probably would have, but something needs to be done. what are we coming up to? I've done 40 minutes. I'll give you a couple of minutes if anyone's got any other questions or anything else that they want me to talk about or say. I'm happy to stay on, but I feel like that's been a pretty good live. I don't feel like I've stopped talking for the 40 minutes, which is always good. I think if I'm always talking, then it's a decent live, as long as I'm not sitting here in silence for too long. So yeah, I'll give you another minute or so. If you've got anything else you want to say, or if there's any questions or topics, then put them in the chat box, etc. If not, then we'll call it there for this week, and I'll be back again next week, as long as my jaw's not hanging off after the dentist, etc. But yeah, I think in terms of security dog handling, I think security dog handling's in a reasonable position. I think a lot of people moan about stuff that probably doesn't need moaning about. I think in any industry that you ever work in, people always want more. They always want better, but it's not always possible. So I think you have to look at the balance of different things and things like that. And look, for what I always see with people as well is that they complain about the money that we earn compared to statics. Look, you can go and earn the money that statics earn, but that means that you won't be working with the dog. If you're in the security dog handling industry, it's because that you like working with dogs, or you want to work with dogs. And if you want to work with dogs, then if it ends up costing you a little bit of money to do that, then that's what it costs you. Like, I wouldn't be doing this job to a certain degree if I never had Cooper. So look, there's no way I would go and sit on a site like this on my own as a static guard. It's just not something I would do. Give me Cooper, or give me a dog, I'll happily go to work every day and do it. So I think that you have to look at it that way as well. And look, I'm happy for the money that Cooper costs me and the money that I have to pay extra to do certain bits. I just see that as my fee to be able to work with Coop, because like I say, if I was a static guard, I wouldn't come and sit here night on night twiddling my thumbs wanting to just go home. So yeah, I think security dog handling's in a reasonable position. There's always things that can be better, there's always things that people want more. So, but other than that, we'll leave it there. So it is coming up to 43 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed this live. I hope that you got the answers that you wanted to. Mike, I wish you all the best. Drop into more lives. Find me on social media if you want to ask me any more questions or you want any more advice. But sounds like you probably know as much as I do anyway. But guys, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you want more of these videos. I'll be back again with a live next week. There will be a video for Saturday. I haven't decided on what yet, but I'll get something together and get a video out Saturday. I'll be alive next week. But yeah, as for now, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good end to the week and a good weekend, and I'll see you again in the live next week. Cheers for watching, guys. See you later.